Hello everyone, I'm Brandon Marcello. This is Joel A. Erickson. Auburn, number 5 in the country, going against number 20 Kansas State Thursday night on ESPN, 6:30 p.m. We're going to look at a couple of keys to an Auburn win and a couple of keys for Kansas State if they want to win. Let's start first with Kansas State. What do they got to do to pull off that big victory at home, which would be the biggest non-conference victory in the Bill Snyder era, which goes across 23 years?
Big key, I think, is forced turnovers. Auburn's offense is on a really ridiculous streak right now. It's 13 games in a row with 30-plus points. The only way I can see a team, the way they've been churning out yards and points, the only way you can really see a team knocking them off that is if they create a bunch of turnovers. Yeah. We're not talking just one or two. Auburn's been able to overcome that in the past. They need to intercept a couple balls, pick up a couple fumbles, do something to alter the field position and change the game a little bit.
Yeah. Auburn has, I think, won 90 of their last 91 games in which they've scored 30-plus points. That one loss being Florida State in the BCS National Championship. Kansas State's a team, you mentioned that, very good at holding on to the ball. They only have one turnover this season.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of a Snyder hallmark. I think the other thing, this kind of goes against the grain of what most people have been saying, but I think they need to establish their running backs.
Yeah.
Based on what Jake Waters has done, the game plan has to focus around him. It just has to. Anytime a guy's leading the team in passing and rushing, that's what you got to do. So I think if Kansas State's gonna beat Auburn, problem with the one-dimensional offenses like that is they go through lulls because the defense keying on them. They need somebody else to step up.
Yeah. For Auburn, obviously they just got to score points. They've got to, I think, start off hot. You look at Kansas State's record book; it might not stick out considerably, but Auburn built big leads last season against like Georgia, where they're up 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, end up blowing them, and obviously they got back and won, but they had a tendency last season to build big leads and then watch them melt. If they can build a big lead at Kansas State, the game's going to be over. If you look at their record book, their biggest comeback ever is 21 points. During any point in the game, it's 21 points. We're talking from first quarter to third quarter, 21 points, 3 touchdowns. So if Auburn get up a few scores, you like where they're going to be at, because Kansas State's offense, they can't speed things up. But the way they just kind of handle things historically, it's not a great comeback offense. Something I noticed today too,
if I'm Auburn and looking at this, and obviously we don't know what Gus is going to do, they said they have a very good run defense. Kansas State does historically have a very good run defense. Their defense is small. Their ends go about 245. Their linebackers, all 3 of them, go about 220. You hate to break it down to just size like that, but that looks like an opportunity to overpower somebody.
Nick Marshall's got to make good decisions zone read. He's got to do it. As we've said, a lot of teams now are putting 2 guys out on him. If he's just
linebacker, it's usually a linebacker and a safety.
Do not try too much. If he just hands the ball off when it's there, they're going to pick up some good yards in this game. And if Nick can do that and not try to put too much on himself, because obviously Kansas State kind of holds a place in his heart a little bit, especially Bill Snyder, and he's going to want to go in there and prove it. Everybody around him keeps saying it. He's just got to play within his own self. He cannot try too much.
I'd look for some interesting stuff with Nick too. I thought that draw last week was an interesting little wrinkle.
They've done that twice, right?
I thought that draw, and Nick said they're mostly still running just base plays, but my hunch is that there's some stuff in there to get him free on the edge that isn't just the zone read. I think this is the game that maybe we see a little bit more razzle-dazzle from Auburn's offense.
Razzle-dazzle. Well, that's going to do it. We're going to have much more coverage, of course, at AL.com, up to the game and throughout the game.
Might even give you a bonus video from Kansas if we have time on Thursday.
Yeah. I'm going to go try and check out, like, Varsity Donuts in Aggieville.